Welcome to the fundamental updates for 31st of May 2026. In this channel, I share fundamental updates telling you what happened in the previous week and how we can use that information to trade for the week. If you are watching this video, I need you to pay close attention because I'll be explaining something very important and how you can use it to make money this week. So currently, we all know that the market environment has been on the Middle East conflict, right? Trump has been changing statements saying that the war might come to an end, the war might continue. All this has been making gold go up and down, making dollar range, you understand? But last week Thursday we reached an agreement which was for the Middle East war to go on a 60 days ceasefire. Now, that agreement was not fully reached, but the US and Iran, they are looking pretty good on actually keeping the ceasefire for 60 days. And what happened? This made dollar sell and this made gold buy. Let's just look at dollar and we can see what happened. You can see this is what dollar looks like in 15 minutes time frame. Let's go over to the higher time frame of this indicator. And let's go over to the higher time frame and see what dollar looks like in the 4 hours time frame. You can see dollar reached this key level and started selling. Why did it sell from here? Simply because of the 60 days ceasefire that is looking like it's going to be declared. Now, this is not declared yet, but I told you all that markets move based on expectation. The war has been ongoing, and we have been expecting rumors of the war coming to an end, and that was why dollar has been ranging at this zone. Even though sometimes the Fed would announce that they don't see any news for the war to come to an end, dollar wouldn't still give a big push. Why is that? Because the market has already priced into the war expectation. Let us go back again and look at what dollar look like. If you zoom out, and the one you can see where the war started from, it literally started from this zone, right? This particular zone over here. Now the market has already priced into the war, in the sense that market has already moved in a lot of bullish momentum. It has already given a lot of bullish momentum from where the war started, and it has reached this sell zone. Now this sell zone, it started giving sales. Why? Because of the expectations of the war to come to an end. And you can see since then dollar has been ranging. Why? Because speech has been changing. Trump has been saying he doesn't see any chances of war coming to an end, and the next day he will say he might accept the proposal from Iran for the war to come to an end. And dollar is simply rising based on this war due to the fact that oil price is increasing. If we see oil price, it was increasing during the war, and you can see all the way to the top here, oil price increased. But when we had rumors that the war is going to come to an end, even though it hasn't come to an end yet, just the rumor that the war is going to come to an end, you can see that oil price started ranging and it dropped. Do you understand? Now we are on an expectation that we might likely be seeing a ceasefire about to happen. Do you understand? This is one of the trade I took on Thursday before the news was released. I actually had an SL hit on oil. But regardless, I know that now that I know the full news, I know where I'm going to be heading for. Do you understand? This was the one in which I caught based on the sell on oil. I would have actually just kept on holding this, but then it was against my rule to hold during weekend when it comes to oil because of these gaps, and my broker, I don't want it to take me out based on those gaps. So you can see this is what oil price look like, and I would say, will oil keep selling? Well, that's what I want to talk to you all this week. Now oil was rising, which made dollar to start rising. Now that we have a 60 days ceasefire coming up, this might make dollar to start dropping due to the fact that oil will start losing its momentum, right? But there's something I want you to have in mind. The only reason why dollar is dropping is because of the inflation concern and the expectation of a rate hike have reduced. Now, after this ceasefire has been declared, I want you to understand that the market will shift focus immediately to inflation data. Do you understand? Inflation data currently dropped based on the fact that, oh, there's still possibility of dollar going down when the war come to an end, and oil and energy price going to normal. Now that was why the inflation data dropped based on expectation. But after the ceasefire, markets will not really focus on that ceasefire, right? Yes, market is already pricing into the news, but I want you to understand that after that ceasefire occur, that's if the ceasefire eventually occur, we might see dollar sell a little, and then market will now start looking for a new expectation, which is what the Fed will say concerning interest rate hike and inflation concern. So this is what we call a conditional expectation. What does a conditional expectation mean? It just simply means that the market is moving based on this expectation only in one condition. If the Fed say inflation is not really a concern, dollar would keep selling. But if the Fed say inflation is still a concern despite the fact that the war has come to an end, dollar might actually start buying from there. Do you understand? So we are still on conditional expectation. I hope you understand me clearly. Now, what I want you all to have in mind is, how can we know when this news comes to an end? We should just be expecting the next Fed meeting. If the next Fed meeting come together and they say, oh, that since the war has come to an end, inflation price will likely drop, the Fed might not really hike interest rates this year, dollar will sell massively. Do you understand? Dollar will sell massively. So what are we supposed to be doing now? We're supposed to be pricing into the expectation of that news. And how will you know the expectation of that news? Simply, there are two ways to know about it. Stay tuned to my fundamental updates every single day or every single week, because I drop fundamental updates on my X account, and I also drop fundamental updates in my Telegram channel. Also, there are better ways you can stay tuned to everything that's happening in the forex market, which is by signing up for the macro mastery class. I've already spoken about it, and in the description I'll leave the link below. I'll leave the link below for my X account so that you can join in, for my Telegram channel so that you can join in, and also for those who are interested in signing up for the macro mastery class, I'll drop a link. You will see the price, you will see the details, you read everything carefully, and you can also contact me on WhatsApp, because I'll be dropping my WhatsApp link below the description so you can benefit from all that. So let's go straight into what we're talking about. So my take is that yes, dollar is already bearish, but what will make dollar sell massively? Because I spoke about something in my last Saturday free class I held on Telegram, which is something called positioning and expansion. Right now the market is still positioning, and during positioning, that is the best time to find entry. That is the best time to find entry, because when expansion begins, let's say that news is finally released and the Fed say they don't see any reasons to hike interest rate anymore, dollar will just give you a very long black candlestick that you'll not even be able to find entry. It will be more like what happened when the war started, right? You might just see a bullish move, or you might just see a black candle like this, or this long black candle that you don't even know where to find an entry. That is the expansion. But during positioning, markets usually range, and that is the best time to start finding entry. Do you understand? We can see that last week gold actually became bullish. Why did gold become bullish? Well, simply because of the war has come to a ceasefire. Do you understand? Gold usually is bullish when there's war, right? Yes, some people say gold is usually bullish when there's war. But what happened? Gold is bearish during this time. That's because dollar is increasing in value based on the fact that oil price is rising. How did I know about this? I have a 3 years experience when it comes to macroeconomics and fundamentals. I'm reading the news and I'm understanding what is happening in the fundamental market. Since oil price is rising, investors are running more to dollar than gold. And gold is paired with dollar, right? Dollar is the quoted currency. So dollar is currently strong compared to gold. But now that the war is coming to an end, we can see that gold is bullish. Why? Simply because dollar has weakened a bit. Do you understand? Dollar has weakened a bit. And yes, not to brag a little, but this is a trade I took on gold on Friday, yeah, I think, yeah, Friday, because on Thursday the news was released, but on Friday I, shipped in with that news, and then I was able to take profits this particular zone here. Do you understand? That's just simply how it works, right? Because I understand fundamental background. Do you get? I understand the fundamentals that is happening in macroeconomics and in the fundamental market. I usually trade gold and oil, and when I do that, I don't do that technically, right? I don't just do that technically, but because if I'm looking at technicals, there's no reason to actually just buy gold from here. But since I understand the news that was coming up, I bought gold from here, and I was able to make good profits all the way to the top here. I would have actually just held. I think it's on Thursday I took this trade, because on Friday I didn't take any trade. I would have just kept on holding, but then I wanted to close that same day, right? When it comes to trading gold and oil, I just want to close that same day with my profit. So how did I know this? I know this because of the fundamental of it that is going on. And now, what is my next expectation? Let's just put it this way. My next expectation is that market will be focused so much on inflation concern, and since the war has come to an end, inflation concern will reduce. So expectation is that the ceasefire has happened, the inflation is supposed to drop. So market will start pricing in based on that expectation. So gold is meant to be bullish for a while. And then if the Fed say, oh, actually inflation is still a problem, they might hike interest rates, gold might sell massively after that. Do you understand? But for now, gold is still bullish. And on Friday, we might see a retracement all the way to the downside to sweep liquidity before an entry. If I see a good entry, I would keep on buying gold. Do you understand? So let us look at the economic calendar for the month, for this week, right? And see if there's anything that will affect the market. So economic indicators are not really affecting the markets currently. Why? Because of what we call market sentiment. I keep talking about this. Market sentiment is just simply what the investors are focusing on. Right now, all these things are not investors focused, right? This is not where investors focus lie. You see this FOMC meeting, be checking on for it. Any day we have FOMC meeting is the day that the Feds come together to talk about what might likely happen on dollar. Do you understand? And on Wednesday, we had that meeting before the ceasefire. Now, the next time we're having the FOMC meeting, the Fed might talk about how the ceasefire has affected dollar and if inflation concern will still be a problem. Now, if they say inflation is no more a problem, dollar will keep on selling massively. But if inflation is still a problem, dollar might actually keep buying. So for this week, on Monday, we have bank holiday on USD, GBP, Euro, CHF. All these things means that there will be little to less volatility in the market. So be very careful. Oh, no, this is an old calendar. Sorry, this is an old calendar. This is May 25th. This is May 25th, right? And that bank holiday has already happened. We can see AUD, CPI 27th on AUD came out negative. Let's see. Since CPI on AUD came out negative, this means AUD is likely going to be weak, right? Yes, because inflation is no more rising. They don't see any reason to hike interest rates. And I told my students earlier that they should start looking for buys on GBP AUD. Let's see if that actually is playing out. Wow, it's actually selling massively, but at the same time, AUD CPI is actually losing momentum. Now, I think I marked a zone here. Okay, yes, I know why it's selling. I marked a zone here, telling my student that before they think of buying AUD, it should come all the way down to this level. So market currently is just loading up. This is what we call the positioning. Now, my expectation is if market gets to this particular zone, I'm going to wait for a confirmation before I look for a buy. But to me, AUD is going to be weak. Why? Because the war has come to an end. Inflation is no more a problem for AUD. And since it's paired with GBP, GBP AUD is meant to actually start selling. It's meant to start buying. Why? Because GBP is the base currency and AUD is the quoted currency. I hope you understand. GBP AUD is meant to be bullish. Why? Because AUD is getting weak. Inflation data is dropping. They don't see any signs for any further rate hike on AUD. So this would mean that GBP AUD is likely to be bullish. But I will still wait for a confirmation once market gets to this zone. I do not like jumping in too early to trades like that. You understand? Because the full picture in the 4 hours time frame is looking more bearish. So once market gets to that zone, we should be looking for a sell. Sorry, we should be looking for a buy, but after a confirmation. Why am I mistaking sell for a buy? Why am I mistaking sell for a buy? So we should be looking for a buy once market gets to this zone, but we are going to wait for a confirmation because we are not really sure if it will actually keep selling or if it's ready to buy, right? So JPY intervention is about to happen, and due to the fact that USD is weak, I feel USDJPY now would have an opportunity to start selling. Haven't really been focusing on currency pairs. Why? Because I've moved to oil and gold. You understand? That is my focus this period, and I've been making good amount of money from it. Do you understand? I'm planning on adding an information to the macroeconomics course, which is how to trade commodities during times of economic uncertainty, because that have really helped me. You see, why traders lose money during times like this is because they try trading currency pair. You can see what currency pair is doing. I mean, come on, you can see what currency pair is doing. Who trades this? Who trades this? So currency pairs, sometimes during times of war, during times of economic uncertainty, you might not be able to get a good catch on it. But if you're trading things like gold and oil, you have a clear direction and you know where to actually place your buyers. Let's look at AUDJPY. It's been longer actually look at all these currencies. You can see I actually had an idea of actually selling this thing from here, but thank God I didn't, right? I actually had a plan of selling from here, but you can see market actually sold, then came back up. Why? Because of the speech keep changing. Do you understand? Speech keep changing. That's one thing about economic uncertainty. You cannot swing trade during period like this. Usually I'm a swing trader. I look at my buyers from the 4 hours time frame. I take my trade. I was planning on holding this trade for quite a long time. If I took it from here, I plan on holding it all the way down here. But you can see the market just ranged a bit, came back to the SL. So this is why I don't trade currency pairs during this period. Why? Because of the whole market fluctuation, the way Trump is changing news. Today he's bullish, tomorrow he's bearish. All these things is making the currency range. You can see the range that is happening here, which is not even looking nice. So those who are trading currency pairs, I wonder how you guys are doing it. But if you're doing it good, because some of my students are still doing it good. Some of them are scalpers, some of them are day traders. I've trained them to be able to, become good in market environments like that. So bravo and kudos to them. But me, I've moved into commodities for the meantime, because very soon I'll be going back to currency pairs. So I'm just giving us an analysis on what we should be expecting, right? I've already said dollar is going to be bearish. That is the full expectation. Let us look at the news event we have for this week. We have NFP coming up, which is the beginning of the first Friday of the month, which is on June 5th. NFP might not really shake the market because that is not economic focus, but still it's very important. Just have it in mind. Do not be entering any trade anyhow during periods like this. It's looking like NFP is going to come out lower than expected, but let's see how the markets move. We have RBA on AUD, which is very important. They are going to give a speech on where the economy is going. This is actually very important. This is very important. So you can even create an alarm based on this, right? Create an alarm, and if it's about to come up, that will give you a notification. But I don't think I want to do that right now. So you can see we have important news, which is BOJ speech on Wednesday, which is actually very important too. Once this speech happens, it will give you a direction on JPY as well. It's going to talk about the intervention and all these things are important news. But I'm not seeing Fed meeting on USD, because Fed meeting is what will tell us if inflation is rising or if inflation is still going to keep falling. So these are the important news for this week. My eyes will be on BOJ, will be on RBA meeting, and also it will also be on NFP. Do you understand? So that's just what I want you all to understand for this fundamental update. Dollar is likely bearish based on the expectation. So you know what to do. Buy gold, sell oil, sell dollar, sell USDCHF, buy Euro USD. You understand? All these are analysis based on dollar weakness. So we can call it a day with that. If you learned something from this fundamental update, or at least if I give you a clearer bias for this week, make sure to like and drop a comment. You understand? Your comment is what will help push the channel. Do you get? And also send the link to your friends who are forex traders too as well. You can use this to create bias for the week and understand where the week is going to move. With that being said, have a lovely trading week ahead, and it's going to be a win for us. Trust me, it's going to be a win. Have a great one.